My next guest today said, quote, "This is a clear and absolute illegal war, and it has been from the beginning." Joining us now, Republican Congressman Tim Johnson of Illinois. Congressman, good to have you with us.
Lou, it's my honor to be with you.
Congressman, the White House has responded to the Speaker who sent the letter yesterday. You, I'm sure, are aware of its contents. The Speaker making it pretty clear it's inadequate. Your thoughts?
Absolutely inadequate, late, not in compliance with the law, an absolute violation of not only the War Powers Act, but I contend the separation of powers between the executive and the legislative branches.
And what is the next step? Speaker Boehner gave until Friday to end hostilities. This response, requiring a response, a report from the president. Obviously, the White House considers this to be a response, an inadequate one. You in the House and those of your colleagues who are joining in this suit obviously do not. Where do we go from here?
Well, we're asking the lawsuit, Lou, for a declaration of the illegality of the action, for a cessation of funds, and for a cessation of American involvement. We're also moving forward, and will be moving forward with other legislation in the House, I would expect, that would do what the consent resolution would have done 2 weeks ago, which I supported, and that is to bring our material and our men home, our men and women home. This is an illegal war from the beginning. It's a violation of the statutes, a violation of the Constitution, and it's something that, frankly, is about to cost us upwards of $1 billion, not to mention innocent civilians, not to mention the potential of American men and women being engulfed in to the hostilities.
Congressman, is there any regret on the part of Republicans that you did not express vociferously, vigorously objections at the onset of these hostilities? It seems as if it took a while for opposition to coalesce in the House, as well as in the Senate, where it's a far more muted opposition. The initial complaints were that the United States didn't take the lead, rather than the fact that the United States was engaged in those hostilities. Your thoughts?
You're absolutely right. Congressman Amash and I and a couple of others actually did speak out from almost from day one. We introduced resolutions, legislation, and otherwise, which obviously hasn't been acted on. So we were on, I think, the cutting edge of this. But I think a number of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle agree that they've been amiss, so to speak, and that they have abnegated their constitutional prerogatives, and that we need to assert those constitutional prerogatives now. Quite frankly, I'd go back decades in American history and say that my predecessors, and in some cases myself, have been negligent in asserting our constitutional prerogatives as well. We've had a succession of presidents over many, many years, as you're well aware, Lou, that have absolutely laughed at, mocked the constitutional separation of powers, and where it's relevant, the War Powers Act, and we're feeling the effects of it, economically, personally, and otherwise.
You're absolutely correct. The imperial presidency has grown up with weak opposition, or in some cases, strong support from Congress, which should be jealous of its prerogatives rather than abdicating them. You have been in support of you have been consistently an advocate of the exact position that we're taking tonight, and I quite frankly appreciate your leadership. You have been a long, strong, and vocal person on this issue. Well, it's very, very generous of you, Congressman. I thank you. What's next in this lawsuit?
Well, we got to get it to federal court. I mean, the action is being filed by, as you know, Professor Jonathan Turley from George Washington University Law School, one of the preeminent constitutional scholars in the country, and the process will move forward. A similar action was brought in the 1990s with very different legal and factual background. What's going to happen here is up in the air, but had this action not been brought, we would have continued to flail along like Flotsam and Jetsam, with essentially playing a neutered role in the process. At least we're asserting ourselves in the way that best we can do it.
Thank you very much, Congressman Johnson. We appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. Tim Johnson of Illinois.